everyone. Welcome to another edition of Courtside. I'm Blair Cartwright along with Tom Collen. And interesting week last week. Lose a tough one at home, but win one on the road.
Well, it's that's kind of life in the SEC. You know, it's pretty hard to get streaks going in the SEC where you win 4 or 5 in a row, and really a sign of a good team, I think. And the teams that find success in the SEC are the teams that can take a hit, get back up, find a way to win the next game. And so far, that team, this team has done a good job of that. And if we can just kind of keep building on that and stay mentally tough, we'll fight our way up there to the top half of the conference, which is what our goal is right now.
As we review the games against Georgia and Alabama, we'll look at our 3 keys. And our first key, Lindsey Harrison, what a performance she had against Georgia. 26 points, but the 8 threes, a ton of them coming in the second half within like a 4-minute period. You ever seen anyone shoot like that?
I've had a few kids shoot like that. I've been fortunate to have some really good shooters. I had a kid named Becky Hammond that could step up and make 10 or 12 threes in a game. But since I've been at Arkansas, I don't think I've had anybody step up and make 8. And Lindsey clearly gave us a chance to win, because before she got hot, I think we were struggling a little bit offensively. We were down 8 or 10 points, and all of a sudden, it only takes 3 of those to go from 10 to 1, and that's what she did against Georgia. And at that point, I'm not sure they knew how to stop her, and I don't think Lindsey felt like she was going to miss. So we kept feeding her the ball, and she kept making them, and give us a shot. She's one of the best shooters, I think, in the conference. And when she steps up and plays like that, it's a shame that you don't come away with a win, because you're not going to get very many efforts like that.
And she might have even had more. She had a cramp in her calf, I think, and that kind of cooled her off.
Yeah, she struggled down the stretch. She wore herself out there, I think, a little bit. She probably plays as hard or harder than any player on our team. So I think she's pretty exhausted at the end of every game. But clearly brought us back, and we're proud of her. And if we can squeeze a few more performances out of her like that, I think we'll win a few more games.
Our second key, Sarah Watkins, 12 points against Georgia, 16 points against Alabama. She's just been very steady.
She just keeps plugging along. We don't get her the ball enough. After every game, we try to find ways to get her the ball. We say that to ourselves, and we've got to, because you've got to have some inside presence. And the good thing with her, she gives us inside presence, but she can also step to the perimeter and make shots. So she scores in a variety of ways. So we just need her to continue to be consistent. If she does that, and then we get 2 more people stepping up with her, usually that spells victory for us.
And our third key, the freshman Kira Peak, 5 points, 4 rebounds against Georgia, 11 points, 7 rebounds against Alabama. Not bad for a freshman making her debut in the SEC.
She's doing a good job. She felt a lot of pressure against Georgia. She wasn't quite as strong against them. We went back and we looked at the tape, and I know she wanted to beat them so bad because she's from South Georgia, and they ended up not recruiting her and offering her a scholarship. And she just kept jamming it in there off the dribble, and she kept taking what the defense was giving us. And if she just makes 1 or 2 more shots, that's probably the difference in the game. But she's got to find a level of consistency, and she's slowly but surely getting there. It's not easy for a freshman in this league, but I think what she's starting to do, game in and game out for us, she's certainly not afraid to go in there and try to make plays, and I think that's a good starting point with her.
She's really a fun player to watch.
She really is.
As we turn our attention now to the top 25, Razorbacks 23rd this week, so you stay in the poll. How important is it in terms of recruiting and all that to remain in the poll?
Well, I think visibility is important. We're proud of it. I think it's good for our fans. I think as we get further along into SEC play and they see that we're ranked in the top 25, if they haven't been out, I think they're gonna come out and they're gonna support us a little bit better. And I think it's good confidence for our players as well, the longer we can stay in. But we clearly understand the poll doesn't have anything to do with getting in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't make us a better team night in and night out. That's what we've got to really, really strive for, is to just be able to continue to play. It's almost like when you're playing in the SEC, even though there's some teams like a Vanderbilt or a Georgia who had dropped out of the top 25, you really feel like you're playing a top 25 team almost every night. And when you have that ranking, now the target is on your back, and they want to take that ranking away from you so they can get into the poll. So we're happy to be there, but it's certainly a challenge to stay there.
Always good to be in the poll, and we'll take a look at it now as we take our first time out.
For over 100 years, Arkansas fans have called the Hogs and filled our past with championships, memories, and pride.
Now, The Hogs are calling on you. We need you to answer the call.
Make no mistake about it, it's our turn.
Are you ready to answer the call?
Answer the call.
Answer the call.
Answer the call.
Let's answer the call.
You've got mail.
This week's question comes from Bob in Bella Vista. How has the SEC changed since you were an assistant coach here?
Well, it hasn't changed a lot. I think it's still a pretty tough conference to play in. The traveling's the same. Nobody's moved. I think probably the thing that I noticed the most when I was here as an assistant, there were a lot of legendary names in the conference that have since moved on and retired. Coach Blair moved to another conference. Joe Champy retired. So just a lot of new faces in the league. I think a lot more younger coaches. Matthew Mitchell comes to mind at the University of Kentucky. And really good young coaches that are trying to gain back the traditions that many of those programs had. So, there was a time there with all those veteran coaches in there where you were going to get like 8, 9 teams in the NCAA tournament. So it's not quite as strong, and a lot of it is because of those coaching changes. But I think a lot of teams trying to grow back to that, and it still makes it a pretty tough conference to play in night in and night out.
Along those lines, has the style of play changed at all?
Well, I think the style has changed only in that the coaches have changed. So they all have different nuances that they like to teach and coach, and that's probably the biggest thing. But still a very athletic conference, still a very talented conference, year in and year out. A lot of top 25 recruiting classes. So it's still a grind every night out.
Life in the SEC, not easy. Thanks for the question, Bob.
Submit your question on the Courtside page under women's basketball at ArkansasRazorbacks.com.
Kids can now be a part of the Razorback experience by joining the Junior Razorbacks Club. All Junior Razorbacks will receive a T-shirt, membership card, quarterly newsletter, discounts at Hog Heaven, tickets to select Razorback events, special post-game activities, and much more. The membership cost is just $40 and $25 for each additional child. Membership forms are available online at ArkansasRazorbacks.com. Join today.
Welcome back. Time to look at what's coming up this week for the Razorbacks. Thursday night, go to Nashville and take on Vanderbilt, 7 o'clock tip. What do we know about the Commodores this year?
Well, they're pretty good. They're not ranked in the top 25, but I feel like they're a top 25 team. They've taken a couple hits early. They're a young team. They roll 3 or 4 freshmen out there that played a lot of minutes. Very talented freshmen. But probably their biggest weakness is when they went on the road, those freshmen sometimes have become a little bit overwhelmed against pretty good competition. So they've taken a few losses and dropped out of the poll. But when you look at them on tape and you look at their recent games in SEC play, they're awfully talented. They're the same old Vanderbilt team. They're smart kids. They play hard. Melanie Balcom does a great job coaching them. They execute. They shoot high percentages. They shoot the 3 well. Matchup zone, she's always played. They look like the same Vanderbilt team to me, and certainly we've had a hard time beating them up there and competing with them. So it'll be a great challenge for us. But I think it's another challenge that this team needs to make. We came off one kind of poor performance against Alabama, found a way to win. Now we got to step up, play against a lot better basketball team on the road.
Memorial Coliseum, of course, has the benches on the ends of the court. Is that still
It's hard.
Of an adjustment?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm one of those coaches that don't like it. I don't think there's many that do. If for 20 minutes of each game, your team is so far away from you, you can't communicate with them at all. You can't even communicate with the officials. You can't even yell at them because they're so far away. You can only get them when you're on your end of the court. So, it helps to have, I think, a veteran team, a more mature team. They basically, for 20 minutes on offense or defense, they have to be down at the other end executing, doing the things they need to do because you just can't pull them through that. So hopefully maybe being a little bit more veteran team will lend that itself well to our ability to play up there and play well.
Razorbacks get to come home on Sunday, back to Bud Walton Arena. Ole Miss coming to town, 2 o'clock tip, and Christy Smith, a former player you recruited here at Arkansas, will be on hand as well. What do we know about Ole Miss this year?
Ole Miss is a young team. They graduated probably 4 or 5 of their best 6 players. So they're rolling a lot of young kids out there. Probably not quite as strong as they have been. But, we've struggled with Ole Miss at times. We fared pretty well against them at home, but we've never won down there. So you just got to take care of business against them regardless of what happens against Vanderbilt. They're going to come in and play a lot of zone defense, and that's something we've struggled with at times. So we're going to have to be able to combat that. But like any other team that you play in the SEC, there's not any team that you can't overlook. So I think they're going to be a good challenge for us.
Should be a good ball game. It's going to be good to see Christy again too.
It's going to be great to see Christy. I haven't seen her. I see her probably once or twice a year. I see her out the Final Four. For our fans that don't realize this, she's an assistant coach up at Valparaiso University right now, and you know, really enjoying coaching. But she loves Fayetteville. When I talked to her on the phone and asked her to come back, she was thrilled to be here. She looks forward to it. She still has a lot of friends and a lot of great memories here. So I think it's great to bring her back and maybe try to educate. You know, a lot of our old fans, they remember her. I'm not sure a lot of the younger kids remember her. But it'll be nice to educate them about how special of a player she was.
Should be a good game. Come out and see Christy. And Arkansas Ole Miss always been pretty competitive the last couple of years.
Yes, very, very close game. So fans, you can make a big difference for us.
All right. Well, good luck this week and bring back a couple W's.
All right, thanks.
For Tom Collen, I'm Blair Cartwright. We'll see you next week on Courtside.